Israel Gutierrez, Frank Isola. Today, the complete and utter domination by my Washington Capitals. The Washington Capitals. All caps and caps locks really works on a couple of levels when you realize their jerseys are all in lowercase. And professional baseball and the money that comes with being the number 9 pick or starting quarterback for Oklahoma. Let's go around the horn.
In baseball, the ball chasing.
Hey, quiet you. Kevin Black is coming to run his things today.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reale.
The Washington Capitals, one game from their first Stanley Cup. This is madness. It's been a complete takeover. 12 goals to 5 in favor of the Caps since the start of Game 2. And even with that, James Neal says if he doesn't hit the post early here, it's a completely different game. Certainly, none of you are buying that. Frank?
I happen to be buying that. So they came out flying that first 4.5 minutes, Kevin. Come on. They hit the post twice right there. So to me, early on, it was desperation. They don't want to go down 3-1 in the series. And by the end of the first period, they were demoralized because the Caps responded with 3 terrific goals, and the bounces went the Capitals' way. The TJ Oshie play, he's able to kick it onto his stick, score the first goal. Same thing with Devontae Smith-Pelly, same type of goal. Everything went the Caps' way. Early on, they were lucky to get out of there, not being down 1-0.
Come on, Israel. Be with me. You feel my pain.
I mean, it sounds like the lament of the loser there, right? When you talk about, okay, we didn't get that first goal, and then all of a sudden we gave up 3 more. Of course they were going to be flying around early. They were in a position of desperation. Of course they felt like they had an opportunity there and things would have changed. But if you're telling me the mood of the team would have changed, well, the Capitals just went back to what they'd been doing the entire time, which was controlling the game, really spreading out their scores. They had all 6 goals by different scores. So really, that first goal wouldn't have done it for me. And if you want to start talking about hockey gods and karma, I mean, come on. How much do the Capitals have coming their way at this point, given all the bad luck they've had over the years?
All right, this show's going the direction that I want it to go. Sarah, join in.
The only thing I'm buying about what James Neal said is it's the thing that he and his teammates need to believe, right? That this was just a swing of hitting one post, and if we'd had it, we would have been there, versus saying we got crushed again. Listen, this is the 7th post they've hit in 2 games. If you want to look at the larger trend of them not being able to capitalize on open nets and on good chances, fine, I'll give you that one, that if you'd been hitting more of those, you'd be in this series. But unfortunately for James, you gave up that one that you didn't get in, and then you let him have 3, and that's where the game changed, not your miss.
And that's what we talk about in hockey when we talk about the analytic stat of puck luck. They don't have it right now. The Capitals do. Isn't that right, Woody?
Well, I'm going right with Frank there. Frank, you're right. It would have been a totally different outcome, 6-3. And it was still a blowout. So I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So if Neal doesn't hit that post, I'm calling it the Washington post. And if they hadn't hit the post 6 other times in those 2 games. But here's the difference. When you are 0 for 6 on a power play in 2 games, you don't deserve to win when the other team goes 3 for 5. The Capitals are having an incredible run on specialty teams in the playoffs, and it continues against them. So the Knights should shut up about, luck didn't with it. So there were no Greek gods, there are no hockey gods, and nobody looking out for the Knights. They need to come back. But let's say this, Kevin, you know this, that there's a team on the other side that has blown 3-1 leads 5 times. So this series is not over with.
Hold on. Frank, I'll let you out the penalty box. Defend yourself.
Come on, Kevin. The 2 biggest moments of this entire series, 1:59 to go in Game 2. Alex Tuch right there on the doorstep. Holtby makes the save of the series thus far, one of the greatest saves you'll ever see, and the beginning of Game 4. If they could put that puck away, they haven't had the lead for 150 minutes. So Vegas has constantly either tied or playing from behind. And to me, it all goes back to Game 2 and the beginning of Game 4 last night.
Okay, I can't hide the fact that I'm a lifelong Caps fan. I've seen this before, National Panel. A 3-1 series lead. I've been heartbroken before. There's no way they can blow this again, right? Frank?
Yeah, they still can because Vegas has been a tough team at home. But I do think when you're looking at a guy like Alex Ovechkin, you're giving him 3 chances to win 1 game. And we keep talking about his legacy. This is a perfect opportunity for him. And let's not forget about Yevgeny Kuznetsov, who was terrific. 4 assists last night in Game 4. First player to do it since Woody Page's buddy Joe Sakic all the way back in 1996.
There's some history for you. Jump in there. How safe is this 3-1 lead?
It feels pretty safe. Everything about this Caps run feels different. Again, it feels like they've exercised their demons from the past before. They've closed out their last 3 series. The first chance they got, all 3 of those coming on the road. It just doesn't seem like this is the team. Look, the Knights, say what you will, they've had tremendous luck, or had a tremendous season rather, not a luck, great run, but this is the team that Washington is just fulfilling their potential right now. Not even the greatest defense ever, but they play really dirty, get all the, everything done that they need to do. I just think the Caps are already past all that past history.
Sarah, you've seen Stanley Cup championships very recently. Does this seem like one in Washington?
Thank you for remembering, Kevin. I appreciate that. The odds have been in the Golden Knights' favor all season long, right? They've defeated everything in front of them that said that they had no chance of getting here. And unfortunately, the odds are even more stacked now that the Caps are up 3-1. There's been one team, and it was back in like the 40s, that has managed to overcome a 3-1 deficit in the Stanley Cup final. So everything points to the Capitals pulling it off. And I know they have more 3-1 blown leads than any other major men's professional sports team, but this is what I had to remember when my Cubs were making their World Series run. Most of the guys on that team have only been around for a couple years. They're not carrying the decades of disappointment that the fans have who have been watching the same team. They're only carrying a couple years of being on a team that hasn't finished. So I absolutely think this is time for the Caps team.
And Woody, you've seen the entire history of the NHL. How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, I was covering that 1942 series with the Detroit Red Wings when they came back. But the Knights are not going to be able to overcome the Capitals. So for 2 reasons. Fleury is not having a good series, guys. That is just not working out for him. He's being outplayed. And the neutral zone, there's such a difference. Washington is so in charge of the neutral zone, it's like the Knights aren't even allowed in the neutral zone. For those 2 reasons, I could see the Knights grabbing one more, but that's enough.
What? One more. All right. Moving on before this gets ugly. The Eagles' White House visit canceled by the president. Disinvited in favor of this afternoon's ceremony, which includes the playing of the national anthem. It's being pointed out by many that not one Eagles player knelt during the anthem last year, which is fewer than the number of Eagles who donated their entire salary to charity, one Chris Long. Also, that the NFL's anthem policy of last week, if it was designed to avoid front-page headlines, has been invalidated in less than a week. Frank, how should an NFL fan take in everything as it played out today? Or does it feel like the end of championship teams in the White House?
Well, I'm not so sure about that, and I think NFL fans are probably tired of this whole thing by now. And I think it's a lost opportunity on both ends. Like you mentioned, the Eagles aren't a team where a majority of players are kneeling. They have some outspoken players, and it would be a great thing for Chris Long, Malcolm Jenkins, intelligent guys to maybe, and I understand it's a photo op at the White House, but maybe to get an audience here so they don't want to go. Then, of course, he turns around and says, well, you're not invited anyway, and this is all about the anthem, and it becomes a complete mess, and people are tired of it.
Izzy, what do you think?
I mean, I think most of us recognize at this point that this is essentially a PR stunt to change sort of the view and say not put the focus on what it really should be here. The reality is the White House visit by these teams aren't the place to have real discussions with the president. The reality of the situation is there have been people or athletes that have not gone to the White House in the past in protest, and it did not implode the entire event. The reality is, as Torrey Smith said, some of these guys aren't going because they have a distaste for Trump himself, not necessarily for politics, because, by the way, if we all forget, he called these protesters SOBs at some point. And the reality is, listen, we've inflated the value or the importance of the anthem in these sporting events anyway. If you look down the road, there isn't really uniformity. There hasn't been. Are there even in college football teams don't even come out for the anthem, do they? And the reason for that is, okay, why? Because it's tradition? I mean, it all doesn't make sense. I'm with you, KB. I say get rid of the White House visits altogether.
Well, Sarah, this isn't the first team during the Trump era not to the White House to celebrate a championship. Do you think this is the end of teams visiting the White House?
Yeah, that's a great point, KB, because he disinvited the Warriors, and that had nothing to do with the anthem. To then try to pretend that the reason that all the Eagles aren't attending is because his belief in standing loudly and proudly and singing the anthem is something they disagree with is disingenuous. And so is Fox News showing videos and shots of players praying and then alleging that they were kneeling. No one on the Eagles ever knelt, and they have very realistic reasons for not wanting to arrive for some sort of PR photo opportunity with this particular president. As Torrey Smith told CNN, if someone invited you to a party, forget that it's the president, and it's someone who has called your peers and teammates and friends made disparaging remarks about people of color and women, you're probably not going to that party, and that's your right. And in the past, when players have decided not to attend, as Izzy said, it hasn't imploded the entire event. This is about a personal slight and embarrassment at the small number of players who are going to attend. This was never about the anthem, and neither were Colin Kaepernick's or any other players' protests. This has gotten spun so far out of control that we lose sight of all the amazing things that these Eagles players have done in sight of using this as some sort of political tool. And it's sad for both sides, to be honest.
And Fox has apologized for that gaffe, but Woody, do you think it's such a bad thing if teams don't go to the White House anymore?
Well, it should never be a part of the tradition of sports in this country anyway. I've always wondered why you even have that. Really, aren't there more important things on both sides to really think about than being in the Rose Garden after you win a championship? I never liked the tradition of the president calling championship teams in the locker room or the clubhouse after winning a championship. I just don't think it makes sense in this country at all. This is not England. You're not going to visit the Queen. They have, as I said, more important business. Jeff Lurie, though, has made it clear in previous comments about the president that he thinks this presidency is not a good one. In regard to both sides, I thought it was very petty. But Tom Brady didn't go to the White House last year. Every year there are players that don't want to go for various reasons. And so that's why that tradition really should go away. And I would like to make one other point. I went back and looked at New Jersey General games. Guess what? They weren't on the sidelines standing at attention with their hands over their hearts. And guess who the owner of the Generals was?
I wonder if it's our president. Good point. Sarah, one last point.
Yeah, I want to also point out that none of the women's championship teams have been invited by President Trump to attend the White House. So if you want these visits to end, I guess he's already done it himself for any women who are champions of their sport.
There's your horn. My producers are telling me it's time to get out of here. And look at that. I'm an egalitarian when it comes to scoring. Not like that other guy that's usually here. Enjoy your points, folks. We'll be back in just a second. Oh, not too bad. I'll get down.
Hit Stanton.
Not the first time that Fiers has hit Stanton. The first time was career-threatening.
His reaction had a lot to do, you think, with who it was, and he's going to like that. And he is going to make sure and stylize that trot.
Getting his revenge and, throwing his bat and pointing, I think that's kind of childish.
Come on. Is it childish to Cadillac the home run you hit off the guy who hit you in the face 4 years ago, Woody?
No, I'm buying Stanton here. Fiers started this firestorm in 2014, and after he almost destroyed Stanton's career, he then hit Reed Johnson up high. When the dugout complained, he said, come on, bring it on. He acted childish that day in a very difficult situation. He's the one that created this.
Sarah.
Yeah, as someone who had her nose broken and finger broken by the same girl in field hockey in high school. Hi, Stephanie. Yes, I still remember your name. I wanted to beat her butt, and I wanted to take it out on her, but she didn't do it on purpose. And Fiers didn't hit in the face on purpose, and he reacted the way any pitcher would when something got up high like that. He was in the middle of the swing when it hit him. I understand Stanton wanted a home run. I understand him still holding it against him, but not in any way that makes it seem like he feels like Fiers did it on purpose. It's taking it too far.
Izzy.
That was PTSD reaction from Stanton, and it was really tame given what he could have done. I mean, he wears that because on that thing on his helmet because of that man. His career could have ended because of that man, and all he did was give him a little bit of lip and, pimp the home run a little bit. He could have done a lot worse. I'm with Stanton. Don't throw it there. I don't care how you get me out. Don't throw it near here. You're going to have trouble every time.
Who are you with, Frank?
I'm with Stephanie. We love you, Stephanie. I want to give you a shout out. In this case, with Stanton, he gets hit in the arm, and here's the guy that crushed your face. Of course he's going to be upset, but I also would say this in defense of Fiers then. He has to throw inside, so after this happens, he has to make it seem like, listen, I wasn't trying to hit him. I have to keep throwing him inside. Guess what? In this case, they both happen to be right.
Kyler Murray was drafted number 9 by the Oakland A's in last night's MLB draft. Murray, though, is slated to be the Oklahoma Sooners starting quarterback next season, replacing number 1 NFL pick Baker Mayfield. Murray has told Sooners football coach Lincoln Riley that he is prioritizing football this summer and fall before going back to baseball after that. What are you buying? What are you selling, Sarah?
I'm certainly buying that he said that before realizing how high he got drafted and how much money came with that pick. Now, there may be a change of heart here, but I honestly think, as simplistic as it may sound, as naive as it may sound, that if the kid wants to play football and then go on to baseball, that would be a great way to get both, because it's kind of sad at his age to already have to decide that it's about money and it's about a career in baseball more than what he loves. So I hope he can do both.
Izzy.
I'm buying the move. I understand baseball is the safer move, the smarter move, if you will, financially. But in terms of being in the spotlight right away, man, there's nothing that can compare to playing quarterback in front of 100,000 people. And it's a protected position. The chances of him getting hurt, pretty slim. I like the move.
Well, Frank, baseball, come on.
You know, as a parent, I would say to him, do what you love to do. And clearly, replacing Baker Mayfield, getting a chance to replace a Heisman Trophy quarterback who made it to the national semifinals, #1 overall pick, chase your dream. If I were his parent, stop playing football today. Take the money and go play baseball.
Woody, you know somebody who had to make this choice?
Russell Wilson, and he played baseball, and then he decided on football. Frank, the one problem that I have with your argument is he's not even guaranteed the starting job. There's competition there at Oklahoma. Take the money, then go play football. The A's have said, we don't mind that you play this year, and then after his junior year, try baseball. He can always come back to football.
Buy or sell number 3. Wendell Carter of Duke thinks Duke players have more to prove when they jump to the NBA. Quote, all my teammates weren't able to show all their strengths. We're going to be able to show a lot more at the next level. Izzy, buy or sell Wendell Carter Jr.'s theorem?
Oh, I buy the theory of college players being able to flourish in the NBA. There's more space to operate. There's not true zones being played. We've seen it with a lot of players. Vince Carter, if we want to stick in North Carolina, is another one who was way better in the pros than he ever was in college.
True that. Frank.
You know what? I don't think it's a referendum on Duke. I think it's a referendum on college basketball. I would say this. The last 10 years, 18 players have been drafted by Duke. One of them has been an all-star. That's Kyrie Irving, until, of course, Jason Tatum becomes an all-star. That'll make it 2.
Which way, Woody?
Well, I'm selling what he said because what Frank said about the 18 players, and also because we've seen the Duke system is more set up for college players, and they don't have real adjustments to the NBA. I don't think that he should have opened his mouth about this. Let's wait and see what happens with him when he's drafted.
Sarah.
Yeah, I'm buying what Izzy said. Absolutely. There's more ISO play. There's more pick and rolls. There's more space. It's less of a system-based offense. But if you're that great, ain't no college player stopping you from dominating. He didn't dominate in that way. So go up against bigger, stronger, faster guys. And after you show us how great you are, maybe we'll buy it.
Man, I hate this show, but I got to do it because I'm sitting in this chair. We call it Lightning Bolt. So glad to be on this side of it for once. Sorry. Goodbye, Woody. Goodbye, Izzy. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Frank. See you when we come back.
Kevin.
Showdown is next. Keep your heads
Way
down.
to go.
Well, I don't know how Showdown works from up here, but I know how it works from over there. Showdown number 1. Giannis discovered a corn dog and loved it. Accordingly, what should he try next, Sarah?
Well, he lives in Wisconsin, so he's probably had a brat at the Brat Stop and some cheese curds at the Mars Cheese Castle, so he's got to have funnel cake. That's next, Giannis.
Frank.
Giannis, you're Greek. Stick with the souvlaki. You know what? 2 things. Either cotton candy, or if he goes to Disney, you ever see the people walking around with that turkey leg in the 90-degree heat, eating turkey leg? Not that I think there's anything wrong with it. I know Sarah's had a problem. I would never criticize anything Disney does.
I spent a lot of time at the Texas State Fair. I've had those turkey legs, and they're horrible. Point goes to Sarah.
There we go.
Showdown number 2. What is a better excuse? I got a fat finger from Steven Adams for liking all except Mello, or I got a bad fuel pump from Nick Saban for his boat breaking down his stranded players. Frank.
Steven Adams is a good teammate, mate. I believe him. This is all about Nick Saban not wanting to look like he wasn't prepared, that he had a boat that wasn't working. I'm not buying his excuse. I'll always stick with my guy, Steven Adams. Good teammate, Mike.
Yeah, it's not even an excuse for not being prepared. He wanted to be stuck out in a lake with these guys so he could really get down to what needs to happen next season. He just made up the whole lack of gas fuel pump thing. He wanted him stranded without an exit.
I love a rubber match, so that's why Frank's getting the point.
There we go.
Showdown number 3. Check this out. Cameras caught this fan in full okey-doke, missing on the foul ball while wearing a Diamondbacks jersey, then changing into a Giants shirt in the next inning, and he's done it before. Check him here, going from an A's jersey to a Giants jersey. Bush League or Major League level manipulation, Sarah?
Not even worthy of Bush League. These balls aren't even worth anything. And let me tell you something, kid. If you want to get a bunch of foul balls, just hire someone's kid and bring him to the ballpark with you. It's a lot less work than changing your outfit.
You're unbelievable, Sarah. If that were a Cubs fan, you'd be writing love songs about him and how smart he is and brilliant, trying to get... What's wrong with what he did? He loves baseball. He loves actually collecting baseballs. Smart move on his part. I have no problem with it.
No shame.
Smart move. That was so Bush League. Frank, come on, you know it. If this was the Mets Yankees, you'd be all over it.
Probably.
Sarah, with the FaceTime.
Thank you, KB. I, for one, welcome our new overlord. I want to give a shout out to the Chicago Bears because Zach Miller last year in a game had a devastating leg injury to the point at one point they weren't sure if he was going to be able to keep his leg. His contract was down at the end of last year, and the Bears, out of the goodness of their hearts, re-signed him for a deal. He'll get paid a bunch more if he does play, but even if he never plays again, it's a great gesture for a guy who's been a great stand-up player representing the team, and it's not something that they had to do. So my praises to the Bears for doing right by one of their players. It doesn't happen that often. So.
It was a really nice gesture, and you know what? It was a nice gesture for me to be selected to fill in today for everyone we know.
Good job.
Tony Reali, I kind of enjoyed doing it. You know what? I might think about doing this a little bit more often. Now let's see if I can do this paper toss thing. It's really not that hard. It's right there. I mean, if you can't hit it, oh!